A Moment with Tyranny podcast. This episode in conversation is powered by Homes with Tyranny. Hello, 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 everyone. Thank you for another podcast with A Moment with Tyranny. I really appreciate those that have been subscribing and following me. Continue to do that. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead. Subscribe on my YouTube, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, share this with everyone. I'm on a new adventure and I really appreciate all the support and love that I'm getting from everyone. Well, jumping right in, this is just a Moment with Tyranny podcast. I have a guest with us today, and we have a really good topic, and it's going to be today's topic is going to be bouncing back from difficult situations, and this is going to be really juicy. So, go ahead, guest, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. This is Marcus. I am Tyranny's baby brother,
Big brother.
and just thrilled for this opportunity.
All right, this is my baby big brother. He's like what 6'5", 6 something. So anyway, yes. So I really appreciate you, Marcus, coming in and joining me for this topic today. We're just going to kind of jump in, and this is just kind of open discussion. So the topic is bouncing back from difficult situations. And, we all are faced with different things and challenges in our life, whether it's losing a job, losing a family member, having to make a life changing decision, health, mental. It's just a lot of things that's out there. So talk to me. Let's just what is your take on bouncing back from a difficult situations, and what kind of steps would we do, or advice would we give in facing those challenges and being successful in the income at the ending of those?
Sure. Um, Unfortunately, I guess fortunately, in some senses, I have faced my fair share of setbacks, and so I'll be speaking from personal experience, things that have helped me, move forward after those situations. But ultimately, I think it all comes down to attitude and mindset.
Mm.
Setbacks are inevitable. You're not going to make it through this life without some sort of setback, failure, trials, just hard times. I don't care who you are, what kind of background you come from, you're gonna face something. And so it's important that you know how to weather those storms. But attitude and mindset to me is the most critical part of the process to navigating your way through those situations. And what I mean by your attitude and your mindset is, first of all, you have to get rid of the victim mentality. You have to you have to put yourself in a position where you can accept responsibility for whatever role you played in the situation. And for some people, it will be clear that you played a role in the situation. Other times, it won't be as clear because you will feel like this came out of nowhere. You were doing everything right, and somehow life just blindsided you. And in those situations, I think it's still important to figure out, why was I unprepared for this situation? What could I have done to better prepare myself for the setback that I find myself in? Other times it will be clear that, you know what, I knew I was on the wrong path. I knew I was moving recklessly. And what I'm experiencing now is just the consequences of my actions. And you want to make sure that you learn from that experience. But so that's the first key to me. It's just having the proper attitude, having the proper mindset, and it starts with accepting responsibility for the situation you find yourself in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Link to that, something that has proved helpful for me is being grateful.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
kind of cliche to say, but the truth is it could always be worse.
Oh yeah.
And I know when people are in the middle of their storm, when things are just going haywire in their lives, like, you really don't want to hear that,
Yeah.
but it's true that there's somebody in this world that would trade situations with you in a heartbeat. As bad as your situation is, there's somebody that would be willing to trade places with you because their situation is that much worse. And what that means is there's things in your life that you can be grateful for. And I think when you're in the middle of a setback, when you're in the middle of a storm, when you're going through a hard time, it's important to be able to reflect on those things. And I've heard it often recommended to start your day with just a moment of gratitude. Come up with, a list of 3 to 5 to 10 things
Mhm.
that you can be grateful for, no matter how big, no matter how small. And I think that just helps you just kind of get a proper perspective, getting back to that attitude and mindset.
Yeah.
So gratitude. I think that's key. Um, Number two, and this is a big one. Look for the opportunity in the situation. No problem ever shows up without a gift, but you got to look for it. So every problem shows up with a gift. Every problem shows up with an opportunity.
Mm.
But it's you have to have the proper mindset to be able to look at the problem from that perspective. And so look for what opportunity is there in this setback? What opportunity is there in this horrible situation that I'm going through? And I could almost guarantee you there's almost always an opportunity. And if you can find that, that can become your motivation and your inspiration to navigating your way through that situation.
Mm.
And so for your listeners, obviously, um, for the past 7 years, I was incarcerated,
Mm.
and that was a tough situation to say the least. But even in that situation, there's opportunities, there's advantages, and even if it's just the fact that you know what, now that I'm home and I'm back on the grind, and life moves so fast and things are constantly pulling at you and trying to compete for your attention.
Yeah.
There's an advantage to being in a place where you don't have all the stimulation that you have in the outside world. There's an advantage to being able to have all the free time to to reflect, to write, to listen, to
Mm.
learn, to read, to meditate, to just really work on personal development, self-improvement. Like
Yeah.
if you really take the time to say, you know what, how can I maximize this moment? There's a lot of opportunity no matter what situation you find yourself in. And like I said, some situations it might be a little more difficult to see that opportunity, but I can assure you there's almost always an opportunity. There's advantages to your disadvantage. Um, I don't know if you recommend books or anything on your
Yeah.
on your
You can.
podcast, but one book I would recommend along those lines is David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. He
Mm.
really does a great job of articulating this point. The fact that you might think you're at a disadvantage, but actually there's advantages to your disadvantage. There's things that give you the edge based on what you're lacking, but it takes a special person. It takes a certain mindset to be able to see that and to tap into that opportunity.
Yeah.
Um,
You
couple more things. The other thing I would say is just be mindful that it's all temporary.
Mm.
This too shall pass. Whatever situation you find yourself in, it won't last forever.
Yeah. Nothing's
It's
forever.
that it'll come to an end at some point. And so you got to be mindful of that. That life, that's just how life works. It's a series of ups and downs. And if you can just hang on long enough, it will not last forever.
Yeah.
You will get through it in one way or another. And so that's just something that's helpful. And I've from my experience, you just gotta have you have to find a way to have some hope. Like ultimately that's what gets you through a tough situation. You gotta see a brighter future somewhere down the road. and you got to be able to cling to that. And I think that is what will ultimately give you what you need to make it through whatever you're facing. Um,
Mm.
and then one more thing, so I don't know the situation that your listeners are in or what they might be facing, but if it's anything like some of the situations I face, somebody might be listening and they might say, you know what, that all sounds good,
Yeah.
but what happens when you have setbacks that come in droves? It seems like just one after another.
Yes.
It's one thing when you get, one setback at a time and you can kind of shake it off and wrap your head around it and figure out a game plan to move forward and do all the things you need to do to take advantage of it. But what happens when you're working on one setback, then another one shows up? And as you're wrestling with the idea of a second setback, another one shows up, and then another one shows up, and it's like life is just caving in on you, and it's like things are just piling up on you. And so for anybody that's in a situation like that, I would say number one, you just need an outlet. You need a way to express what you're feeling. Like don't hold it inside. And so a couple of suggestions would be: number one, journal.
Oh yeah.
Just take a moment, whether it's physically with pen and paper, just writing it down, which would be my recommendation. Or if you just pull out your phone and shoot a video or just record, but just get it out. Just communicate what you're feeling, what you're going through. Um, just document it all. Just have an opportunity just to express yourself. Just get all those raw emotions out. Some people find an outlet in their religion or their faith,
Yeah.
and if that's what works for you, then do that. Um, it's important to have some people in your life that you can go to, whether it's one or whether it's a group.
Yeah.
Have some sort of support system, some sort of support group that you can go to, that you can just be real and raw and be honest and just be yourself and just say, look, my life sucks right now. This is what I'm going through. This is how I'm feeling. And
Yeah.
just some people that will just love you right where you are and just help you navigate your way through that situation. Another thing is meditation,
Mm.
and just
I'm
just
a, I'm
being
a
able
big
just
fan.
to
I'm a
just
big fan of meditation and grounding. That's me.
yeah, just being able to quiet your mind and just be able just to just find those moments during the day where you can just sit and be still and just reflect and
Yeah.
just sit, just be able to sit and experience that relaxing, calming time. I think all of that is helpful. Um, but like I said, ultimately you'll get through it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's not forever, and you just got to keep that perspective.
Mm.
Um, so those are some things that have helped me. Uh,
You said a lot. You've said, I mean, you said a lot, and I'm normally not quiet, but I'm sitting here quiet and I'm jotting. I'm like, yeah, yes, yes. You've said a lot, and you've spoken a lot of truth there. And Marcus, a lot of times we get into, you said it, the victim mentality, and it's easy to stay in that victim mentality because what happens with that, it makes us feel like maybe we haven't done anything wrong. It's everybody else's fault. That victim mentality makes that mirror not face us. But it's hard to look
right,
at that man in the mirror. And like you said, once we look at that person in that mirror and we really start to want to heal that person, that one of the things that I can say about bouncing back from difficult situations is being reflective. Really stand there and look at yourself and say, hey, I own up to all that I've done, and then start that healing process. A lot of people don't start that healing process, and without healing you can't move forward. You've got to do
yeah,
that, and you spoke that, you said, and then your gratitude, being grateful, you said that was the thing. Yeah, people say that, but you know what, gratitude is a part of healing. because then you start to realize everything that you're grateful for. You said it, Marcus, when you said there's a lot of people that would give up everything to be in your shoes. I mean, you can drive down the street and look at that kind of stuff. You can look at Instagram. You can just really sit in restaurants, look at the news. There's so much out there that can bring you down, and you can see where you have to have that gratitude. And gratitude is a big thing, because the more grateful you are, the more positive your attitude is, and it actually changes how you view things and receive things. That gratitude.
Absolutely.
I love that you said you find opportunity in what's going on. When you said that, my heart just kind of skipped a beat, because you know what? There is opportunities in everything that we go through or experience. But we also have to make the conscious decision on what opportunity are we going to look for? Are we going to look for the good, or are we going to look for the bad? If you look for the good, you're growing, and you better believe, and I believe in manifestation big time. So if you are growing and you're taking that opportunity and you're looking at that positive part of it and you're walking towards that, you're going to manifest the good out of that. I believe that wholeheartedly. I really, really do. And so I don't take great gratitude and opportunities that are doors that are open for granted. I don't take doors that are closed for granted. You talk about opportunities on that, Marcus. Sometimes when a door closes, it's for the good. You need those people shut out of your life. So, you have to realize, don't go back. If that door is closed, don't go back and try to kick it open. It's closed for a reason. Go to the next one and do what you need to do. And the outlet. You talked about the outlet. Our family is very open to talk and talk and talk. And sometimes when you go to an outlet, sometimes you don't hear everything you want to hear. But again, have an open mind when you're speaking to someone. And also, you have to remember, and I'm saying this to everybody out here listening, you can't go tell everybody everything, because everybody's not your friend. Some people are just they're just waiting to get some gossip so they can go and get all the eyes off of them. So you have to be careful. Select your outlets carefully, because some people aren't really out there for your good. But those people that are really genuinely out there for you. One of my episodes that's coming up is called Friend or Frenemy, and it kind of talks about those kind of things. But you're right, outlets are important. Our mom, you can say anything to her and she's going to tell you the truth, whether it hurts or it doesn't hurt. But everything that you're going to hear that comes from her, it's going to be the truth, and it's going to be to try to it's to help you, and it's out of love, and that's what's important. So I'm like, so what else? I appreciate that. So what other advice?
Well, that's good. Let me comment on some of the things you said, going back, starting with the victim mentality. The big thing about the victim mentality is there's no power in that. It's a comfortable place to be. I think it's our human nature to kind of want to be the victim, and like you said, not see any wrong in our actions, but look at the wrong in everybody else's behavior, and just wallow in how you've been done wrong, and woe is me, and why do these things happen to me all the time? Like that's a natural and comfortable place to be for most people, but there's no power in that. Like you're giving away your power. And so even in the most horrendous situations where you can't obviously see the role you played, just know that if you say, you know what, I'm not going to be a victim, I'm going to take responsibility in whatever form, whatever fashion that looks like, and I'm going to take it upon myself to navigate my way out of the situation. Like this, again, there's no power, and that's the big thing for me, is that you want to be in a place of power. You want to be in a place where, you know what, if I do what I need to do, I can move towards the outcome that I desire. Like that's the position you want to be in. You want the responsibility to be on you. You don't want the responsibility to be on outside forces, because then you're just in a helpless role where you're relying on somebody else to do what you want them to do in order for you to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to be helpless at the end of the day. You want to be able to control your own destiny, your own future, your own outcomes. And so that's the big thing about the victim mentality for me.
Yeah.
Um, and going back to the just this idea of people, just it can always be worse. Like I said, I was incarcerated. Now I was in a fortunate position through much of my incarceration, and I got an opportunity to get a job that allowed me to drive other inmates to various destinations.
Mhm.
Um, and during some of my commutes, I would run across homeless people,
Mm.
and I would just kind of see how they were living and the situation that they were in.
Yeah.
And it would immediately cause me to reflect on my situation. And I would think, man, here I am. I'm all bent out of shape because I'm incarcerated. I've been taken away from my family and all the things that come with being locked up. But I got a place to live. I got food to eat. I got people in my life that love me and support me. Here I am driving a car. I have on clean clothes. I have like just all like it just I was immediately just flooded with all the things, and I'm thinking, man, this person is homeless.
Yeah.
And they would trade places with me in a minute to be in my situation. So how dare me, sit and feel sorry for myself and complain about all the things that are wrong in my life when ultimately there's a lot I have to be grateful for. And so I just think that's so important, and it's so easy to miss that. And like you said about the finding the opportunity, finding the advantage to your disadvantage, it has to be a deliberate decision.
Yeah.
That's not something that's just going to happen automatically. You got to be very intentional about trying to find the opportunity in the situation. That has to be a decision you make in your mind. And after you've gone through a couple setbacks and you've realized there's advantages to them, so sometimes I think for most people, when they look back on the most difficult, trying situations in their lives,
Mm.
they will say, you know what? I'm glad I went through that. They will reflect on it in a way that is totally opposite of what they were feeling at the time that they were going through it,
Yeah.
because they see the person that it formed them into.
Yeah.
And the truth is there's no growth, there's no advancement that happens without some sort of pain or discomfort linked to it. So whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to build muscle, whether you're trying to learn a new skill, whether you're trying to fix a relationship, or like whether you're trying to parent a child, there's always some sort of pain, some sort of discomfort that 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 comes with that. But that's what leads to the growth. That's what leads to the advancement. And so you gotta, after a certain period of time of going through that enough, you begin to just lean into that and say, you know what? I don't like the way this feels. I don't like the fact that it has to be this hard,
Yeah.
but I know this is part of the process, and I know that me leaning into this is going to get me to where I want to go.
Yeah.
So just some things that you made me think about as you were talking.
And that's good. And and you know what? Trust in the process is always something hard. And whoever coined the term growing pains, that's exactly what it is,
That's
growing
exactly
pains.
what it is. You're right.
So, it's like, you said so much, Marcus. I wish we could go longer, 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 but you're going to have to come back on so we can expand more on so much to
Absolutely.
talk about. So I love it. So, now everyone knows that I always end my podcast with a quote, and it's so funny. And I'm not going to say it's funny or ironic, but my quote for the day, it fits so much in what you said about power. So here we go. Here's my quote for today that ends my podcast for today. It says, the most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. So I'll say
Hmm.
that one more time. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. That was
That's
written
it.
by Alice Walker. So, anyway, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining the iPod today, A Moment with Tyranny. And please, again, subscribe, join, listen, share. And thank you for being here, Marcus. Thank you for sharing your personal moment and your information and really your private moment, because sometimes it's hard for us to do that, but hopefully this has reached out. I know it has reached out and touched people. So thank you again for joining, and we will see you again next week, Friday, 12 noon Central Standard Time. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you. I appreciate it.